Thank you all. Appreciate you coming. We were joking earlier, we're going to treat this kind of like a Trump rally. So welcome to the largest crowd in the history of the Hilton Garden Inn. No one has ever had a bigger crowd than this. It's the best ever, the biggest crowd. So anyway, if you talk to the people who work at ACERA, one of the things I like to inflict on their poor souls is when we have our ACERA meetings, I always like to end with a few really bad dad jokes. I'm a dad. I got a lot of kids, and I know. But so I would like to lead off with a couple. It's coming close to Halloween. Who wants to hear a few really bad dad jokes? And I'm warning you, they're bad. Okay. All right. So the first one, why did the zombie take a nap? He was dead tired. Yeah. What did the angry skeleton say to the other skeleton? I've got a bone to pick with you. Yeah, there you go. This one's kind of subtle. So why do werewolves never know what time it is? Because they're not wenwolves. Yes, yeah, you'll get that on the way home. And then what was the last? Oh yeah, why are vampires so bad at art? Because they can only draw blood. So now you get a little taste of what it's like to actually have to suffer through working at ACERA. And I promise what I'll talk about is a lot better than these dad jokes. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes kind of talking about the state of ACERA, how are things going, and what that means for you, and talk about some of the things that you might see coming down the road, particularly as it relates to customer service. So the first thing I want to talk about is investments. And why talk about investments? Well, because if we don't invest well, that's where your money comes from. You know, you worked a career, you paid your contributions, the employer paid contributions, and we've been investing those all along. But really, about 65 to 75% of all the money that's paid out to retirees comes from those investment earnings. So it's really important, if we're going to have a cost-effective plan, that we do well at doing that job. So our board spends a lot of time working on the investments and trying to get that right so that you don't have to pay more or didn't have to pay more, and the county doesn't have to pay more. And so one of the things to remember is we don't invest to try and get the best returns for the next year, the next 5 years, even the next 10 years. We're really looking at trying to get the best returns over 20 years, 25 years. So the things that we invest in are the things that are going to pay out over a long period of time. And we're very risk conscious. We do things slowly. We don't make quick moves because, again, we're investing for decades, not just for months, days, or years. So one of the goals of the board is that when you look at our 20 or 25-year investment history, how do we do? And our goal is to be in the top 25% of all like pension funds around the country. We want to be among the best of the best. And so how have we done? And I wish I had some slides to share with you, but essentially we get these updated numbers yearly. So the last time, as of June 30th, you looked at our 20-year history, we were 13th percent. And if you look at our 25-year history, we were in the top 11% of like funds. Now, I don't know about you, but raise your hand. I don't. Raise your hand if you were in the top 11% of your college class. I wasn't. That's why they don't let me make investment decisions, right? We hire smart people to do that kind of stuff. So the good thing is, and what it means to you, is that overperformance. If we were even average investors, much less the 11th, top 11%, if we were just average, our fund today is about $12 billion. If we were average investors, we would be at $11 billion. So over 20 years, that's $1 billion that members and the county have not had to pay in because your board and the folks at ACERA and our investment consultants have been making the right decisions for you to invest that all along. And so what does that mean for the SRBR? Because when our investments do well, the SRBR does well. And how many of you get subsidies from the SRBR right now? Raise your hand if you get a monthly payment from the SRBR to help offset your Medicare, your medical costs. Okay. So that's a very important fund. Right now, there is $1.2 billion in that medical fund to help fund your medical benefits moving on, not only from today, but moving forward. And the board has set a goal that they want to make sure there's enough funding in the system to pay out at least 15 years of medical benefits, to make sure that you can count on that subsidy being there for the next 15 years. And as of our last valuation, we were at 23 years. So we have enough money to pay benefits for 23 years. So again, it's another indication of the Board of Retirement doing the right things, making the right decisions for you so that you can count on that money being there for you as you move into your, later on in your retirement years. So the other thing I want to talk about is, again, we want to maximize our investments because that's what pays, but we also want to make sure that we're not spending your money on administering the system. We've got to make sure that we're doing that in a very cost-effective way. Every dollar that we don't spend on administering the system is a dollar that can be spent on benefits and is a dollar less that has to be collected in contributions. So we make very conscious decisions about what our budget is going to be. And so just to let you know, for the last 7 years, and I picked 7 years because I started 8 years ago, and so I've had 7 budgets now. Our next one's coming up. But for the last 7 budgets that we put in since I began and became your CEO at ACERA, the increase in the budget has been 4.7% over 7 years. So how many people have seen their grocery budget go up by more than 4.7% in the last 7 years? Or the cost of gasoline or anything else? We've had one of the higher inflation periods in our country's history. And yet at ACERA, we've been able to maintain and keep that growth in check as much as possible. And that's due to the hard work of the folks that you see here who are picking up and are doing more and figuring out ways to do it better. We spend a lot of time at ACERA trying to make sure that we're doing things better for you. Because again, a dollar saved is a dollar spent on benefits, and that's important. So we have the investments. We're doing well there. We're trying to be cost conscious and keep those costs down for your benefit as well. But the biggest thing that we do as ACERA is provide service. I mean, that's why we're here. It's the only reason we really exist, is to make sure that every month that check shows up on time, that you get that subsidy, that healthcare is going to be there for you. And if you have to call and talk to someone at ACERA, someone's going to be there at the end of that phone call in a reasonable amount of time and be able to help you and answer those questions. Recently, I lost my father-in-law. So I've been helping my mother-in-law with her finances. And I don't know if you've ever had to call, and I hate to throw another governmental agency under the bus, but if you've ever had to call Social Security, oh my goodness. So we were on the phone 2 hours and had to get off, waiting on hold. The last time we tried calling, it was 1 hour and 40 minutes on hold before we got cut off without ever being able to get through to somebody. And this is something that they say you can't do it online. You have to actually call and talk to someone. So at ACERA, we have a goal that if you call in, you're going to talk to one of our folks within a minute, 1 minute. And we track that. And I see those stats every month. And 96% of all calls that come into ACERA are answered by one of our folks within 1 minute's time. So that's one of the things that we try to do to make sure that if you need to interact with us, we're there for you. One of the big things that we've been undertaking for about the last 4.5 years, we started right before COVID hit, unfortunately, a horrible time to start a long-term IT project, but we were getting a whole new pension administration system. And for the folks in our office, it's going to be great. They're going to be able to do the calculations much easier, the estimates, the service purchases for all those folks, retire people easier. We'll get better coordination with the employers on the data, all those things. You don't see a lot of that, but where you'll see something new is in our website and our web services. So if you were to go out to how many of you have an account on our website, our web services, log into that? Okay, great. You know, at ACERA, we have 75% of our membership actually has an account, which is really high for our industry. And so I would encourage you, if you don't have one, please go out and do that. But if you do that between now and January, you will get a prompt to set up a new account because we have a new system. In January, we're going to send out letters to everybody with a PIN number to register yourself. Whether you're currently in or not, you'll get a new PIN number from ACERA. So look for that in January, and you'll be able to log into the new website, and it'll have expanded services, a little bit different look and feel, but there'll be things that you can do on the website that you weren't able to do before. Ultimately, our goal is we'd love to have someone be able to go through the entire process from their home in their pajamas if they want to choose to do that. I mean, you can retire in your pajamas now. It's a little awkward coming downtown to Oakland, but it's actually downtown Oakland. You might fit in, who knows? But at least you can do it from the safety of your home in your pajamas at some point. That's one of the goals we have. But so look forward to that in January. We have a lot of, I will say, opportunities. One of the things we try to do is get feedback from you on how we're doing. And so we have a program where when someone goes through the retirement process, from the counseling all the way through to their first check, we will try and get feedback because that's the time we have the most interaction with you in your entire career. We talk to you a lot. There's a lot of things going back and forth. We have that counseling appointment. I mean, for some of you, that's the only interaction you really have with someone from ACERA. And so we try and get feedback at that point about how we're doing. But you'll see right outside the door here, we have surveys, customer satisfaction surveys. We'll ask you some questions about the health fair, but we'll also ask you some questions about your service with ACERA. And I encourage you, please, we got a nice little fanny pack. Fanny packs are coming back in style. So don't think that, it's a good little fanny pack. If you go to Europe, they're invaluable. So get that fanny pack, fill out that customer service. We really appreciate that input and that feedback. It is one of the things we track and we report on. I report to the board those customer satisfaction results every month, and they ask me about them all the time. And so we want to get your feedback. We want to learn. We want to make sure that we continue to do the things that we're doing well. But if we're not doing something well, we want to make some changes and make that happen. And we can't do that without your input. So I encourage you to go ahead and do that and provide that before you leave here today. Got a lot of stuff planned. I didn't have a whole lot, and I don't want to inflict any more jokes on you because I think some of you still have food and I'll be wearing it if I do. But I will open it up to any questions. If any of you have any questions or comments before we go. Yes, ma'am, in the back. So if you were to log into the system just like you normally do, you'll get a prompt. And then we will end up still mailing you a new PIN. We'll just do it earlier than January. So to get into the new system, you are going to need a new PIN number and be able to register for that new system. But we'll initiate that process earlier if you try and log in before January. Otherwise, look for the letter in the mail. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Snail mail. We're going to send you a hard copy. You can only get it through mail. And so one of the reasons why we do that, so when we've been implementing this, we try and incorporate the best practices wherever we can. And this is a security feature. One of the things we want to make sure is we have your updated address so that if we have to mail you something, we can do that. But also, it's a lot easier to get someone's email. It's out there, it's there. And so it's just way too convenient sometimes for someone who may want to get access to your account and it not be you. So that's why we're doing the mail, actual snail mail. It's for your security, really. And we'll mail it out in January. Everyone will get that in January. If you log in before, we'll initiate that mail out quicker. Was there another question in back, ma'am? Okay. So the comment was, if you want to do it before you leave here, You can do it here. If you visit the ACERA desk, they'll be able to sort of initiate that process for you before you leave here. And then we'll send that letter with that new PIN to get you registered in. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Oh, okay. For the, okay. Well, I appreciate that because we do work closely with the county and there's a number of areas where we coordinate not only with the health, but with the 457 plan, try and coordinate at least information. But unfortunately, yeah, we have limited input onto to what they do. But I will share that information with our counterparts. Thank you for that feedback. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Other questions, comments? So I'm going to be wandering around. I would appreciate it if you see me and you want to share your favorite ACERA customer service story. Feel free to do that. I love hearing, good or bad. It doesn't matter. I like hearing it all. Also, if you want to just show me a picture of your grandkids, that's great too. I have my own. It's my cover on my phone. I mean, you might be subject to those if you do, but that's okay. So feel free, pull me aside. I'd love to hear from you. We've got the surveys, fill them out before you leave, get that fantastic fanny pack. Everyone's going to be wanting one. It's the greatest thing ever. Everyone wants it. Just like the biggest crowd. It's the best. It's the best fanny pack ever. It's never been better. Sorry. Anyway, with that, if there's no more questions, I think we'll go ahead and we'll have the next presentation in here at 10:45. And then I know our communications folks are going to do some interviews with folks, man on the street interviews. So if you want to do that for the folks at home watching via Zoom, they can see that. And we'd appreciate getting your feedback. But other than that, I thank you for being here. It's great to see faces again. I like the hybrid for those folks watching via Zoom. Thank you for logging in and coming and participating. And thank you for, the years of service that you provided to the county. It's appreciated.